Alright, you out. What is your choice is gonna be? Just time to make it fast share. There's nothing to those mistakes so well to see in the past to be happening this time round. How I can be trust, a promise, a quarantine. Get to be make sure that that's gonna not happen. Well, there's nothing to compromise myself as. And that's what I usually to say the flower things. A creamy, soft texture. It's what kind of the bad kind of quality of the products have been together to reach that. One of them is the human body development has plenty to do with the things how the human occurs in the world. If the human cannot get a stimulus of the kind of the development or the development at periods when it's the most acquired some kind of like a language. The skill of the oral language speech itself is changed and acquired in one of the point of time of the life. And if that's the point of the continued point of have a change, the further consequences might be the fortunately later acquiring any kind of the development skill to oral area might be problematic in any kind of the sense. And what about all the senses that have another development? If the problem might become those senses might be not even have any kind of use and no perception about this, and therefore the person might be not even be aware of those the skills to be any around, and therefore there is no possibility that they can might develop it, but there is no lot to how they figure out. And to make it sure after myself that I can be control every word's a key to pay I'm going to be output this time true is gonna be the vital and crucial for my own sake of success. And yes, the language can be developed, but the point is that it can be, but what is the outcome gonna be in reality? Like a photo itself, it's depending that used to the project. The persons of people that justifies, and yes. So if I remember example every day you get through some new information or knowledge, it's just to have a big reading plenty of the books. And if there's nothing more interested to doing in the world than just reading books itself, there might be plenty of the things to be learned just simply reading books. Alright, the books itself are one thing and the internet is another thing. So the internet might be itself to be a surprisingly superiority of the knowledge and the fashion way how the case, and therefore it make any obsolete any book in the world, because any information can be always what can be made to the books can be also to the therefore to make to the internet. And therefore all the published books and information in any kind of the paper for in average time have ever done can be to make therefore to transfer it if it has an originally to be to the internet or some form of the internet use, and therefore sharing all this information the internet channel. And this might be making sure that all the modern day news agencies themselves are willing to compete and therefore share it in the free content when they to the physical product is a cost of using real world money. Of use any kind of the product, it's not only the information what is here important is shared, but there is also other kind of the physical value of the paper magazines and paper creation books and some with might be taste. One of the things is a format is a how pretty simply is pretty enjoyable comfort cheaply it is a reading example comparative books to the computers. I've used this self-illumination of the computer monitor make the text that appears the pages, the reading of the pages comparative different like a books, and the modern way over to different display types and from a mobile different gadget and mobile and very small size of the screens have allowed to the computer any kind of the monitors to be very proficient and easily replaced, and have used the paper type of the kind of the e-paper or a so-called electrical paper is a kind of the invention which pretty much can replace it, the book type of the format and the visibility and conformity to use it, and use it as a commodity for it to change it and take lives. And this is a technology which I pretty have been the case because it's a very well told by the population that the people want to read book like a books instead of the internet looking for some big screen itself, and instead prefer still reading the newspapers of the paper format. The paper itself, the paper companies are used to kind of screw with the impression income is every changed because the books and all the demand of those products are decreasing, and it seems to be get less commodity to the use of the paper as opposed to books that is what have been a tradition been of using to high mark of the intelligence and of using the wealth and the capital able to invest education and information itself with a book. This day just having internet connection and a computer itself can get any text in the world and any information at all ever made by mankind, and therefore this kind of a situation is interesting how it might be set about to benefit any kind of the countries and peoples who have a far away access in general in the information. And information this allow all these people simply get the touch of the latest of the everything, and therefore have a so increased information source and abuse the most important perhaps to call it influence by the internet, which has always been the most major remarkable points of it. And we've used some common things like language in the board. The development of the languages itself have been kind of point that, and year by year, and shooting over the human history, there is less to trample on the local languages, and all the languages are united. And all these modern war countries, policies always have to seem to be unified in under government and trying to normatize the peoples and categorize roots under its own good sake, and therefore killing of the oppression and ethnocentrism instead of the ethnicities, and promoting multicultural approach. The countries usually have been monopolistic and monocultural approach where every of the other human beings with the different languages are obviously the society control system which have been trying to transfer it. And the processes here I call it that this kind of the peoples are processed as and especially marginal peoples or minorities, and a minority and marginal peoples are alienated from a society if they are not to be a part of the current and the economical views or a people personality views of the conduct. And therefore there is plenty of different way to how the government is under the long term of the history. But it will not be the most appropriation, it says. So, and must always have been found out, example of days, in a way, example in one day, in a 50-hour day, to example, just spending one day only doing reading one specific kind of the articles about one things. And here, example, dedicated one day to things like a Neanderthals, a different kind of hominid of the subtribe which has been extinct itself is this kind of the subgenus of the under the genus itself is, and it's the race was a Homo sapiens, but somehow to the sub over tribe penetrated in the same film. And this have been extinct, and the theories and knowledge about it obviously have been heavily enforced by the different kind of the people, and different affairs are always be very prominently there to looking after answers to interesting questions what the people might be always there for doing. And the human itself, the human evolution through the history and the human evolution of the kind of the evolution itself, every pattern is